What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. So this past week's episode, Love After Lockup, it was interesting. Also, I do want to point out, if you guys do not follow Deontay on Instagram, go follow him, because every Friday evening after the show airs, he goes live on his Instagram account. And recently he's been bringing up more of the cast members. This past Friday, he had Rachel, he had Brittany and Ray. And that was very fun to watch. I didn't get to watch all of it, but he also had Jenna Shea on there. Jenna Shea, she's not part of the show, but she once dated Aaron Carter. She's like an influencer, I guess you could say, has an OnlyFans. Kind of popular in the world of something or another. Anyways, go follow Deontay, because his lives are always interesting. They are always fun, and you get to see his reaction of what happened on the show, because a lot of these things Deontay didn't know. Like, Deontay did not know that Nicolle really went off with Zach and slept with him. That was not the story she told him. So he was actually shocked to find that out. So you get to see Deontay's real reaction to some things that he was not aware of. Anyways, let's get right into this past week's episode. To start off with Deontay and Nicolle, we start with Deontay the next morning after he catches Nicolle with Zach. So he is going to meet up with his friend Derek to work out, and he has to break the news to Derek that Nicolle was with her ex the night before. You know, he tells Derek, he's like, she met my mom, things were going good, but when I went to drop her off, something didn't seem right. So I waited around the corner for a minute. Sure enough, her ex-boyfriend pulled up. Derek wasn't really shocked, because I think Derek could see something like this coming, but Derek was just kind of aggravated by it. And he even said, like, I can't wait till I can talk to her again. And Deontay was like, no. Like, I know you want to talk to her, but I need to figure out, like, what's going to happen before I let you kind of go after her. Now, outside of the gym, Derek said, this is what he had to say. He said, I knew she was a hoe. She knew she was a hoe. Now the whole world knows that she's a hoe. That's what Derek had to say about Nicolle. Right after they just got started actually working out, and they had kind of stopped talking about the Nicolle situation, Deontay's phone rang. So he stepped away for a minute, and it was Nicolle. Now, Nicolle, obviously, I'm sorry. We need to speak. I want to see you so we can talk. We need to get things situated. We need to figure out what's going on between us. That was her, you know. What are you doing? I'm sorry. We need to talk. We need to get together. We need to figure out what's what. So Deontay is like, okay, let's meet up tonight and we'll talk. Nicolle is like, sorry, can't meet with you tonight, but we can do it tomorrow. So Deontay's like, okay, that's fine. We can meet tomorrow and we'll figure it out. Now, Derek was like, figure what out? What do you have to figure out after what just happened? Why are you figuring anything out? Be done with her. Leave her alone. And Deontay told Derek, it's just not that easy. I love her, so I just got to figure out what's going on. Now, over at Nicolle's house, she is actually getting ready to go meet her ex-girlfriend, Tia. That was the reason Nicolle could not go meet Deontay that night, because she already had plans to go see Tia. Now, Zach was her boyfriend from right before she got locked up. She was dating Zach when she got locked up. Tia is the girl that she dated while in prison. So Tia actually lives somewhere else. Tia had to come in, get a hotel just to come see Nicolle. They meet up at what appears to be like a restaurant / bar. They're outside. Right after they sit down, they order drinks and they get to talking. They talk about the fact that Nicolle's mom does not like Tia. Nicolle tells us in a confessional that the reason her mom does not like Tia is because Tia is kind of hot-headed like her. That when they were in prison, Nicolle and Tia actually got into a physical altercation. That they actually spat in each other's face during this altercation. So that's one of the reasons her mom does not like Tia. At one point, Nicolle was just looking at Tia and said, so are you going to kiss me now? They kissed. They ended up getting up and going back to Tia's hotel room. So just to be clear, let's say this is Saturday night. Not sure what day of the week it is, but let's just say it's Saturday night. So Saturday night, Tia in her hotel room. Friday night, Zach's house, intimate with Zach. Friday evening, Deontay meeting Deontay's mom. So maybe what Derek had to say was accurate. Yeah, she literally was with Deontay the evening, that night Zach, the next day Tia. She's all trying to get it figured out though, right? According to her, the reason she's meeting up with Zach is to make sure there's no love there. you know, so she can make sure when she's with Deontay that she's not missing Zach. The reason she's meeting up with Tia is to make sure there's still no love there, you know. But when she's with Tia, she actually says in the confessional that it feels like they're picking up right where they left off and things feel natural with her. So, yeah, I don't know. Next week's episode, we get to see Deontay and Nicolle meet up, but it looks like Tia joins the conversation. Now, the way it appears in next week's episode, the clip that we got to see, it looks like Nicolle may have invited Deontay to the hotel and they're outside talking, and then Tia comes along and she introduces herself like, hey, what's up, my name's Tia. And Nicolle was like, oh my goodness. So I would like to say Nicolle finds herself in a situation that she just can't get out of, but we know that moving forward there's a wedding that happens and Deontay is dressed in a tux, so it still doesn't look like there's going to be anything that happens where Deontay says, I'm done, and he moves on. But I think next week may be the 2-hour finale, I think. I'll check on that, and I'll drop that in the description below if it is next week, because I do think it is. All right, moving on to Doug and Rachel. Now, we know that Doug, he had a busy week this past week. He was arrested. He was the main target of an investigation where it led to his arrest and the arrest of 6 others. Now, that video, I actually just shot a video about that a few minutes ago. If you want to check that video out and get all the details of what's been going on with Doug, what he was under investigation for, and what his charges are, click the link up here, or there will also be a link in the description box below to go check that video out. So Doug and Rachel, Doug has gotten a job. He wakes up, he eats breakfast, and he tells Rachel that his friend Mike is going to pick him up to take him to work. Now, I'm assuming Rachel would normally be the one to take him to work, but because he has plans to go buy her a new wedding ring, he cannot allow her to bring him. So he's got his friend Mike lined up to come pick him up. Now, Mike is on a motorcycle, or like Jeff says, a motorcycle. Mike's on a motorcycle. He picks Doug up, and Doug rides on the back, and they head off to a jewelry store. Now, at that jewelry store, he's looking for a nice ring to buy for Rachel, and he says, nobody in my family's ever been to a store like this. Like, my dad bought my mom's ring from a pawn shop. That's all we knew. Like, still in our pawn shops, we didn't have nice things like this. He does say that while he's gotten this job, he still has not made enough money to make a purchase like this. So he's actually got his friends to help him with this. His friend Mike is there with him, and he asked Mike, does everyone think this is a joke? Like my relationship with Rachel, the fact that I'm in the suburbs now, I don't live the life that I used to live. Is everyone laughing at me, or what's the deal? And Mike said, no one's laughing at you, but people wonder if this is serious. Like if you're serious, if you're going to stay with Rachel, if you're going to stay on the straight and narrow, we do wonder that. That's kind of our way of thinking. Like, we're happy for you that you looked up and you got this life, but we're scared that you're gonna mess it up. Now, outside, Mike talks to the cameras, and he basically says the same thing. He's just like, Doug knows no other life. The fact that he's looked up and got this life is great, but we don't know if he can stay doing right. And we know now that he can't because he's in jail. So back in the jewelry store, they find a cute ring that's, I think it's about $5,000. That's what the guy said, that he purchases for Rachel. He gets home from work. He's outside waiting for Rachel to get home. When she gets there, they leave. And he tells her that he has a surprise for her. She does not know where they're going. He jumps in the vehicle and he just tells her where to go. So they get to, it just looks like it's by the water. I'm not really sure, like a cute little park, dog park. I don't know. They say something about poop. So I guess it's a dog park by the water, where they just kind of walk off for a little bit, and he turns her around and he gets down on one knee and he tells her that he loves her. He loves her more than anyone. He loves her more than himself. And she kind of actually snickers about that. She's like, oh, wow, gosh. And he even says, are you going to mess this moment up? And she's like, no, sorry. So he's like, I love you more than anything. I didn't get the opportunity to really ask you on one knee, give you the proposal or the wedding that you probably pictured. So I want to do that now. So he asks her, will you marry me again? She says yes. And they leave. Now in the car after they leave, he's on his phone and he's laughing at something, and she asked him, what are you laughing at? And he said, oh, just social media stuff. But he wouldn't tell her, and she's actually trying to kind of look like, well, what is it? And he tells her, get out of my phone, you nosy bastard. That's what he said. And you could tell it was kind of sour to her. She was like, really? Like, what are you over there doing? You know, if I can't look. So that's where their episode ends. Next week's episode for them, we see Rachel holding this ring. And she said, this thing here, it's going in the toilet. Or maybe the trash can. Or maybe she said she's throwing it outside. Either way, she said she was getting rid of the wedding ring. So Doug obviously done something that he had no business doing. So that will be where they're at next week. I'm looking forward to that. Who do we have next? Oh, Stan and Lisa. So Stan and Lisa, Stan prepares breakfast in bed for Lisa. They sit there talking for a little bit. Lisa starts talking about the cars. Are we going to go car shopping today? And Stan tells her, well, first we got to get your tickets paid. We got to get you a driver's license. There's steps we have to take before we can just go get you a car. And if you guys notice in this episode, she said, oh, it's really easy to get a driver's license. That's very quick. But in a previous episode, the night they got pulled over, she said there's a long line to get your driver's license. Do you guys remember that on that episode? She's like, it's a long line to get your driver's license. But now she's saying, oh, that's going to be simple. That's going to be nothing. We're good. And Stan was like, oh, okay, I guess. So he tells her, he says, listen, I'm just a little concerned because there's not much commitment here. Like, what's next? Are you going to marry me if I buy you a car? And she tells him, I'm already married. I'm married to 2 people. I don't know how that happened, but I'm already married, so I can't promise you marriage. And then he tells her that the last girlfriend that he bought a car for, that they dated for a while, he got her the car, and then she took off. And Lisa asked him, how soon after you got her the car did she leave? And he said, directly after. Like, immediately after I got her the car, she left. She wanted the car. That's what it was. And she got the car. So obviously he has reasons to be a little standoffish, a little concerned when it comes to purchasing her a car. But she tells him, she said, you made me all these promises. You told me we would have a joint checking account. You told me we would get a vehicle. And if you don't keep your end of these promises, I'm not going to keep my end of the promises. So let's take it day by day. You live up to your end of the deal, and then I'll live up to my end of the deal. So Stan, he basically gives in, and he's like, okay, let's go look for you a car. So they go to the car dealership where the car salesman asks if Stan is her father. I'm like, don't you know better than that? As a car salesman, you don't ever say, like, are you dad? You just say, so who are we? Like, Mr. and Mrs. Like, don't say father. Don't ever ask anybody if they're pregnant either. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta let them tell you who they are. So he does. He's like, so father buying a car for his daughter? And they're like, no, boyfriend and girlfriend. He's like, whoops, okay. So they're looking at cars. Stan, he spots some vans. He's like, there's some cute vans over there. She's like, nope. And then she spots this really nice sports car, to which she says, oh, that's nice. I would love to have that. You know, and Stan says, no. That's going to be a little bit too pricey. We can't do that. So they end up with this little SUV type car. They take it for a test ride. And when they get back, they decide that's what they want to purchase. Now, the car salesman is asking some questions like, so what's your price range? What do you want your note to be? And Lisa tells him, we just got to get in there and figure it out. I don't have a job yet, but I'm going to get a job. And she tells him that Stan just paid off $3,200 worth of tickets. Now, I'm not sure I don't know, maybe I don't know enough here, but if you're financing this car, I imagine the car salesman is not going to want to know that you had a buttload of tickets before you just made this purchase. Also, from what I know, to even finance a vehicle, you got to have a job. You got to have a license. Like, these are things you have to have. So I'm really confused where this is going to go. Like, Stan wants the car to be in her name, and he wants her to get a job and start paying for it. But I really don't know how that's possible because she don't even have a license. Well, I don't know. So yeah, when they were test driving the car though, she did actually say that the first time she went to jail was for car theft. She actually went to a car lot to test drive a car and then drove to a completely different state. She was arrested and locked up for 5 years. So yeah, that's a little scary to think about. Like, Stan, she may jump in this car once you buy it for her and just take off and never pay a note. While they were there though at the car dealership, and they had already confirmed that they were going to get this car, the car salesman guy goes inside for a little bit, and Stan asks, so what's next? Are we going to get married? I need some commitment here. And she was actually texting some guy, or she was texting someone where this person was asking, do you have a car yet? And she's like, oh, I'm working on it. In a confessional, she actually said that she has not been completely honest with Stan. So I'm not really sure what that is about, you guys, but it does look like Stan and Lisa are still together to this day, because a fan actually spotted them and took a picture with them. So Stan and Lisa, they are still together. Not really sure what she was hiding from him, but it looks like they were able to weather that storm. Or maybe he just don't know about it and he's finding out right now. I'm not really sure. So Anissa and Jeff, moving on. Jeff has been out of jail for just a few weeks, and he has come to figure out online shopping, and he loves it. He's ordered several drones, some that cost 2 days worth of work for Anissa. She stated that. She actually said they were sitting on the porch, and she actually brought up the fact that one of his drones was 2 days worth of work for her. She brought up the fact that there was packages out front, there was packages in the back, and she voiced her frustration in her own confessional, where she said she spends her days at work, and then Jeff is at home online shopping, playing poker, and just blowing and blowing and blowing, to the point to where he's spent thousands of dollars on her credit card, and financially they are not doing too well now. So he is playing with his drone, and Kyle walks over. When Kyle walks over, Anissa goes inside to get him a tea, and Kyle asks Jeff how much was the drone, and Jeff says, I don't know. So Kyle says, too much, huh? And Jeff says, yeah, too much. So they go up on the porch and they sit down, and then Kyle asks Jeff, he's like, listen, has Anissa said anything to you about spending too much money or anything? All these packages that you're getting, has she said anything to you? Because I know she's talked to me about it. She's talked to me about how you guys are running low on money. So I'm just curious if she said anything to you. Jeff told him, that's none of your business. Our finances is not best friend business. It's husband and wife business. And I don't want you prying into mine and my wife's business. I'll buy what I want to buy. I'll do what I want to do when it comes to money, my wife, all of that. And you stay out of it. And Kyle just said, well, listen, when you told me right after you got out of jail that you didn't come to Anissa the first 2 times after you got out of jail because you were just using her, that conversation stuck in my mind. You know, that you just used her to get what you want. And now here you are, you can't work, or you're not working because you're confined to this property, but you're just spending money hand over fist, and you're not concerned with what that's putting on Anissa. So that's just stuck in my mind. And Jeff tells him, he said, don't worry about it. It's none of your business. Don't worry about it. So Kyle gets up and he goes inside, and he tells Anissa that Jeff has pretty much ticked him off. He says, Jeff has pretty much gotten on my last nerve, and I'm a little aggravated with him. So Anissa asks him, what's the problem? What happened? And Kyle says, well, Jeff told me a secret. He said he was going to tell you, and he hasn't told you yet. And I just feel like if he's starting this relationship off on a secret, it's going to end badly. Like, you deserve to know what's going on. So Anissa asks Kyle, like, what's the secret? What is going on? What do I not know about? What is Jeff hiding from me? And Kyle breaks the news of this 18-year-old child. Kyle tells her, you know, that Jeff has been knowing since the halfway house that he has an 18-year-old child. So Anissa, she gets a little upset. She's like, I just don't understand why he did not tell me. That was before our time. That was before me and him got together. So why wouldn't he tell me? And Kyle said, I feel like if he's not telling you, then there's got to be a reason why. Maybe the child isn't 18. Maybe the child's 8. Maybe the child's 10. You know, maybe the age is the lie, and that's why he hasn't broke the news to you yet. So Anissa says, what am I supposed to do now? Act like I don't know this? And Kyle said, I don't care. I don't care one way or the other. You can go outside right now and tell him that I told you. I don't care. So that is the end of their episode. Next week's episode, we actually see Jeff really mad, running at Kyle, and I think he yells, you told her about the baby, and he jumps on Kyle. Now, it's not a baby, he's 18. So I thought that was a really funny way that he worded that. You told her about the baby when the child is 18. So we know in next week's episode, him and Kyle, they get into an altercation because Kyle told Anissa about the baby. All right, moving on to Brittany and Ray. This week's episode, Brittany, more of Ray's family come over to Brittany's house. This week, we got to see Ray's stepmom, his dad, and his aunt and uncle, and some of his siblings. So they come over, And as they're sitting around eating, the stepmom asks, what about your mom? Ray, what do you think about her mom? Have you met her mom yet? And Ray tells them no, that he has yet to meet Brittany's side of the family, that he's not met any of her people. So obviously this is a little bit concerning for Ray's family. They ask why, what is the deal? Why hasn't he met your family? And Brittany tells them that she's just really scared that they're going to judge him, that she loves him and she does not want her family to judge him based off that ankle monitor or anything like that. So she's kind of nervous. She's trying to do it on her own time. Now, I understand that. That makes a lot of sense to me. You love this man, but they already think negatively of him because he was in prison. So it's nerve-wracking for you to bring them in to meet him when you're scared they may say something offensive or grill him or something like that. So I feel like she's trying to protect him. But Ray and his family, they're just you must be embarrassed. I don't feel like Brittany's embarrassed at all. I just feel like she's worried. The brother asks Ray what's next, and Ray says get a job, get married, have kids. They said, well, how soon? He said soon. And then the mom asked, so if you guys were to get engaged, would it be a short engagement, long engagement? And Brittany said probably a short engagement, probably not even a year, that they would try to get married pretty quickly. The mom seemed like she wasn't too excited about that. Why so quickly, especially if Ray hasn't met your family. Ray and his dad, they go outside, they talk a little bit, and Ray's dad just kind of pushes it on him even more. Her family should know about you. They should know that you come from a good family. You had a solid foundation. You just, you messed up. But it doesn't make you a bad person. And if she can't bring them in to meet you, there's an issue. So Ray's family leaves. It seems like it goes okay. Brittany did seem a little uncomfortable. She seemed like they were kind of pressuring her just a little bit. After they leave, though, Ray basically tells Brittany that he's tired of being kept this secret. He wants to meet her family, and he feels like she should call and invite her family over, that she should tell them about him. And he actually gives her this ultimatum. He says, call your parents and tell them about me, or you're not serious. If you don't call them and tell them about me, you're not serious about us. And Brittany was like, wait, for me to prove that I'm serious about us, I have to call my family right now? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, ding, 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 Ray. Ding, 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 Ray. So it didn't prove to you how serious she was when she moved you into her house. She moved you into her house. She's putting B&R up all over the house. That doesn't prove how serious she is for you? Just because she hasn't told her parents? She literally allowed you to parole out to her home. That should prove seriousness. She's meeting all of your family. She's just scared of you to meet hers because she knows they're going to be judgmental, and they've straight up told her they don't want to. So anyways, she's like, okay, because he basically gives her the ultimatum, you're not serious if you don't do this. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to call my dad. So she calls her dad, and she doesn't tell him, but she tells him that she has something to tell him. So she invites him over for the next day. She tells him that she has some things going on, that she really wants to catch her dad up, and she would like for her dad to come over the next day so they could talk. So the dad agrees, and that is where their episode ends. So next week for them, we should get to see Brittany talking to her dad, introducing Ray, at least to her dad, maybe to both. I don't recall the clip from their episode. Also, Courtney and Josh, not really sure what's going on there, as they were not on this episode. But yeah, you guys, next week's episode is looking very interesting because Tia and Deontay come face to face. Also, Rachel, she is throwing away that new wedding ring. So something happens there. You guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below about this week's episode. Are you guys looking forward to next week's episode? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comment section below. Give this video a big thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button down below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.